Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Season podcast where we deep dive into hospitality and the people that run it.
So today is a super special episode. We're welcoming a man that needs no introduction, whether it's cravings for a late night meal, a quick shawarma, or a mid-office meal. Please welcome Mr. Shakir Haq. Shakir, thanks so much for coming. And how many outlets are you guys at now today?
I think it's a mix of various formats from full-fledged to cloud kitchens to kiosks. I think we're operating 45 outlets.
Wow. And the team size?
About 3,600 now.
Wow.
3,000.
3,000. I mean, I think it goes without saying that anyone who's lived in Bangalore would recognize immediately the brand. And I think that's something that Ram and I have been super interested in, over the years. How did you build a brand that's known to almost everyone in the city? And it's a standard that's never kind of gone out of consistency as well.
I think it all started with the founder's dream. So I think my grandfather was a Malaysian citizen and, he was running cafes and restaurants back then. So since Kerala being very close to Bangalore, and I think everyone's dream was to come and start a restaurant. I think for every Malayali, basically. And even today, if you see places like Majestic and City Market, you still have those restaurants in place. So I think it came as that, and then started as a very small eatery. From there, I think it went about 30 years where my dad came and as second generation took over the business. And Bangalore as a city was growing. It was getting its cosmopolitan status. And then by the late 90s to the early 2000s, the IT boom happened. And from there, I think when we opened the second outlet of Church Street, Bangalore itself was a turning point. And I think we were at the right time, at the right spot.
Right.
That did turn around the whole, the whole vision from what we used to be and where we want to go. It was not easy, but I think it was challenging and at the same time more fulfilling, to be a part of a brand that is about 59 years old today. And, being third generation where we had a mix of both from the traditional old approach to today what it is.
Right.
To modern and AI. So we are incorporating all of that in time and change was always embraced. We never said no and we adapted to change very quickly. So I think we've come a long way and post-COVID is where we've seen phenomenal growth and phenomenal changes in what we were doing. So we could actually use that time of COVID to reiterate, to go back to the drawing board, to restructure, reorganize the whole organization, incorporate a lot of systems, better governances, better practices. It's not a joke. I think we're dealing in tons and we're dealing in thousands.
Yeah.
So that way, keeping consistency, keeping quality checks and ensuring that the people culture stays in place has always been challenging and quite demanding. But since we've been steadfast and, early adapting to change, that did help us stay at least, one level ahead of competition, if you would call it. Yes.
What do you think has been the biggest change in the Empire Group from, let's say, 15 to 20 years back versus the group today?
As a family-owned business, those values and the cultures did, reflect in our businesses also. So, my dad always used to say, we are a business family first, than being a family business first. The actual differences where all the needs of the businesses were kept first than the family. So that's what I think was that compromise or sacrifice our fathers did. So, Empire could become the empire it is today.
Right.
Yes.
Where was the first outlet opened in Bangalore in 1996?
I think it's a very, a lot of people ask me, how the name Empire.
Yeah.
So I think I'll start from there. So the first outlet was opened in 1966 in a street called Central Street, very close to the Chinnaswamy Stadium.
Oh, okay.
And that started as Hotel Empire. It was a small eatery where we were selling tea and some snacks and some parotas and all that. And the name Empire, came in a very funny way, because back in the days, your landmarks more or less used to be movie theaters, which were called talkies, if you guys remember. So there used to be an Empire Talkies on MG Road.
Oh.
So today, if you see Imperial Restaurant, Imperial Talkie used to be there. If you see an Elite Restaurant, there used to be an Elite movie theater. A lot of these, restaurant names were probably inspired and derived by movie theaters back then. So from there, I think in the 80s, but I think came in the 80s where the pub culture was there. And, that part, which more or less was a part of Shivaji Nagar when you say Central Street, that had its own set of crowds. And then we became popular with the lot of government employees like your HAL and ITI. And back in the days, they were all public limited companies. So they all used to come in for lunch and things like that. So I think from a 30-seater restaurant, in a span of, I think, 30 years, we went about having 455 seats in that restaurant.
Wow.
And till date, we still have that number of seats. Yeah, though it's only on a Saturday, Sunday, it gets full, not like before. So I think then we went about in the early 90s, we purchased the property, demolished that building, we added rooms to that thing. And, it used to be called lodge, boarding and lodging.
Okay.
So with all of that, I think we built relationships over time. And I can probably say we still have vendors who are 33, 34 years old in the system.
Wow.
And they are also probably second or third generation. That is what I think kept us grounded, kept us very the community, humble. And, since we are serving a community, we always have to be selfless.
Correct.
And, there's always a stark difference when it comes to when you say service versus hospitality. I think we've always been part of the hospitality rather than service. We were not just serving, but, doing things greater than that as well. So that is what I think kept us, alive. And today we have generations who come and die. So the grandfather back in the 80s who was a young man, today comes with his grandson who's probably 10, 15 years old. And, they come and eat together. So the coin parota and all these things are still favored. So I think, it's a long history. I think that there's lots I could go on and on and on. And on. Yeah.
But is it usually a pro or a con? Because you mentioned business family. Like the pro sides of it is like to stay on ground, be on the same page most of the time. But it could come with its own cons. Because every time people give advice, don't start your business with family or don't start a thing. So what is your take on that?
I think, in general, as generations, we are all millennials, right? So the next generation where you call Gen Zs, I think back when we were young, honestly, we didn't want to be a part of this. But somewhere as a child, I always used to be, going with my dad to the restaurants on a weekend, probably just sit in the car and I would watch him go around, do things the way he does. That always inspired.
Right.
And, being selfless is something that we've always seen and learned. And with that, I think, at least for me, I was very sure that I'm going to be very inclined to the business. Though we are four of us in the third generation, my older brother is a mechanical engineer and an automotive designer by profession. Strategically very much involved. Two younger ones, one is handling a vertical called Easy Bites, another one handles the vertical called Joshua. So all these integrations happened in the last 3 or 4 years. So until then, we did have somebody, managing things for us the last 20 years. Taken Empire to greater heights, was very aggressive, brought in a lot of systems and practices. So for me, I think though the pressure was there, when you're part of a legacy business, the first and foremost thing is everybody sets their expectations very high. Because, the son has to always do better than the father. And in general, basically everybody says, family business don't last more than third generation. The third generation usually screwed up. Sorry, but that's the fact. That's what the truth is. And, I was lucky enough to be a part of IIM Bangalore to do a family business and entrepreneurship thing where in depth we understood a lot of things. Since we were exposed to better education, we traveled the world, we've seen things in a very different manner. Exposed somewhere we never aligned with what was happening in the restaurant. I did my hotel management. Dad always wanted me to do my hotel management, but somewhere it was not my cup of tea. I had to quit in between and then went on to pursue just a business management, graduated from there and eventually got into the business. So when we got into the business, it was an absolute unlearning journey for me in the first year at least. So I had to unlearn a lot of things that we've seen and understood. Then we went about learning. So what I learned in Christ in my hotel management was nowhere close to what was happening at the restaurant. So, with all of that, there was a lot of challenges, physically, mentally that we had to go through. Yes, at many times we would get a lot discouraged. It's like, bloody, what the hell is it doing so much? They still don't see the goodness we've been there. And, and since very orthodox, traditional families, you don't expect our parents to be very open-minded and say, okay, be a great listener. And you say, I'm depressed, you get 2 tie slaps and you would be normal the next day. So that we come from that generation. So that fear was always there. And, we grew up with that fear where my father was very clear, I will draw the line. Cross the line, I'm going to intervene. Until then, you're free to do whatever you want. But once you're out of college, you focus on work. So I still remember, the third day after my final exam, and I was in the restaurant in Fraser Town. That's where I started my tryst with Empire. So within a year, I was packed off to Dubai, and I was there for 3 years handling operations all by myself.
Did you feel like you learned more on the job in Dubai rather than any of the professional degrees or courses you have gone through? Like,
I would say I think I learned the most in the last 5 years of my life. Not even Dubai taught me many lessons, because they say, an empty pocket and a broken heart teaches you many things.
correct.
So at the time where the ex-GM, left when he resigned from the company and I had to take over, yeah, it would send shivers down my spine every morning each time I would walk into the office, because 25 restaurants, 2,000 odd people, and since we were a growing company, we did have some debt as well back then, and all that came with a lot of pressure. So, and by then I had lost my father as well. So I did not have a guide or a mentor. But then I think faith is something always takes you places. I think God was kind enough to give me the right kind of people to work with, like professional consultants, then a mentor also, who helped us build a lot of many systems today, which we call Center of Excellence, which I'll come to it later. So I think, it's been a great journey. I think the last 5 years taught me a lot more many things than I learned in the previous 10 years of my life. I think key decisions were made, a lot of judgments were wrong, a lot of learning curves were there, lost a lot of money, we ended up burning a lot of things, lost a lot of people. So all those were a course correction that I had to go through in my life as well to, to position myself as a leader. I think it's a churn that everybody has to go through.
Right.
So I think, I've been blessed that way, and no regrets. I think whatever the last 10 years of my life have been, I think it's been great. I would just go back, and each time I would think about a situation, I would get a smile. And be grateful to God for, getting us out of that situation or whatever. Yes.
See, like you said, like, you learned more in the past 5 years, right? So when you just come into the job, what are the challenges you initially faced, the pressure which created, compared to how it has evolved right now? What are your challenges right now post?
I think, I think, I still get goosebumps when I think of that date. I think it was April 1st, 2018. And, when I took office. So I had a leadership in front of me, and there were 6 people directly reporting to me, and that was, though I've seen them a very long time, working under the ex-GM and my dad, and it was very unusual for me. One day I just wake up and sit, I have 6 GMs standing in front of me. It's like, sir, what to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I absolutely no clue. And I'm like, guys, let's just do this. Let's go about doing things the way we used to. And throughout the journey, let's see, where it takes us and what we're going to learn and see. So that's something that I prepared myself with, because I knew, I didn't want to make a fool out of myself. Because, those 2,000 people are looking up. Who's the next one in line? If he's coming in, okay, is this guy worth it? Right. So a lot of criticisms will be there. A lot of judgments will be there. People who were in the system for the last 3 or 4 decades, they're going to be looking at it like, what do you know, man? 100%. Hey, your dad would never agree to this.
So, I could already handle criticisms like that, because there'll be a lot of difference in views.
I think, initially, we used to get a little irritated, but end of the day, when they're elders, you can't talk back. So that's what we've always been taught with. And talking to a lot of people who were very close to my heart, I would call them as mentors, peers, folks, friends. And they're all from different segments of the industry. Some are really big, some are not very big, some are nothing at all. So, all of these people played a very important role in my life at that time, giving me that confidence and predominantly most of the seniors, even a few of my dad's friends, they were all like, there's a lot that is going to be riding on you, and don't worry, throughout the way, there'll be a lot of people who are going to help you because your dad has done many good things which he's left. And, people are going to be ever thankful to him. So don't worry, just be confident in whatever you're doing. And every decision that you take, own it. So I was taught that every decision you take, you need to own it. If you don't own it, you can't, probably win a war. So I was in that 2-year period where I was more of a spectator.
Right.
I spoke less, did less, just watched, observed, learned, understood, and then started responding rather than reacting. Asked the right kind of questions. So 2 years, waited, watched, and I knew I had to be patient. If I wasn't, then I'm going to be thrown out of this place. The system will throw you out. So with that patience, I think came a lot of learning and a lot of books, a lot of, I think, superstars, I would say, in terms of great businessmen who've been there, their life journey, their life biography that I should look up.
Someone who stood out to
A lot of Netflix. Sorry?
Someone who stood out to you in those people you looked up at?
I think the first one on the list would be Ratan Tata. Because, I always believe Tata was built on values and not on profits. And we've always been, so our second value in our core values is people before profit. And we've always been true to that. So a business that is built on values always lasts generations together. And, what we've understood is fast success builds ego. Slow success builds character. So there was a character that was built over time, which the people also accept.
Right.
And today, I think we are a cult. We are synonymous. And in Empire is more of an emotion rather than a decision. You don't decide or plan. I mean, bro, okay, somebody comes from the outside state and they ask, okay, post party, where are we going?
Yeah.
Because there's no question. It is very simple. Standard Empire is janega.
I mean, it was how I was kind of introduced to Bangalore as well, right? And
Exactly.
At first, going out as well, there was always that option of Empire at night as well.
But Empire is not just that. Of course, there's a lot more to it. Earlier we used to have more night business than day, but today, day and night are almost the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is something, we focused on. The lunchtime we focused on because, again, making it more, I wouldn't say family oriented, but rather people oriented, where anybody and everybody can just walk in, comfortably have a meal and, not have deep pockets and just walk out. So there are, like I said, when I say sentiments and emotions, why I would say that is, I think today the ghee rice that we have priced, I think we've not increased the price in the last 7-8 years. It's just that at that 90 rupees thing. Because, we always felt that a person walking with a 100 rupee bill can eat a stomach full and walk out of Empire. Yeah. So certain things are kept certain ways, no matter what, how the environment around changes.
One thing I'm really curious about is how did you make the shift or make the balance between the day serving and the night serving? Because you said you're almost matched now. What was introduced? What did you change?
I think, see, again, we went about a lot of backtracking and understanding data, and then we did a lot of on-the-ground job by having some people, make note of a lot of things, how the customer behaved. So customer journey was something I took it up as an exercise to understand, what they really think about Empire. And for the lunch thing, we understood that the contribution in terms of sales from the lunch versus the dinner, the dinner time was well utilized. The lunch wasn't that well utilized. But we knew for a fact the dinner sales wouldn't, come down even if the lunch sales went up. So whatever gap that we saw, we had to bring in more combos. We had a buffet system that was an unlimited buffet that was launched. And when Swiggy Zomato came, we have these 99 rupees combos. Man, selling like hotcakes. And we went about selling at least 20,000 combos a day. There was a time, 3-4 years, just before COVID. That was a hit. That was an absolute hit. And I think with all of that and the service aspect also, Empire used to be known for its notorious service back in the days. And I'll be very honest that way because, people used to come, very, very, very close people used to come and say, boss, these guys show a lot of attitude. So somewhere, very jokingly, I would say the predecessor who was there before me always had a very alpha male kind of a thing. And wherever he walks, he wanted. So obviously, everybody gets influenced, right? Yeah. Somewhere in the managers are like, look at our GF. They also want to be like, wearing tight shirts and flexing their chest and all that. That didn't go well with the people. We are a hospitality company. We don't flex muscles. We flex our food. We flex our service. That's what we got to be doing.
Right.
So with all of that, that change did come. But yeah, it's like a dog's tail. You can never make it straight.
Correct.
Our industry has the highest rate of attritions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
40%.
And I think the last 3 years, I can proudly say that the industry average being a 15 to 17%, we brought it down to 4%.
4%.
Absolutely.
This is across the blue collar levels as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What service segment is the most attrition that happens. With COVID, I think a lot of these guys also understood that, we got to be a little career oriented also. We need to be conscious about who we are also working with. Is the brand reliable enough? And then I think in our period of growth, where I would say from the 2010 to 2020, the focus was absolute growth. And when the focus is absolute growth, you tend to ignore a lot of these small elements which would a lot of value.
Right.
That is, I think the first and foremost thing would be employee welfare. The way these guys are staying and eating and living and all that. So that is something I think I formed a staff room committee, I think 3 years ago. And then the first things we did was we issue kits. We issue 2 kits. Okay. And it's like getting into a hostel. One is a general kit which has a mattress, a bed sheet, a pillow and a blanket. And with that, a toilet kit as well will be there. And then we give you another kit which has your towel, your daily essentials and things like that, which can last you for 3 months. Post that 3 months, like going to an army canteen and buy, you get subsidized rates for the staff to buy from our own stores within. So with that, the grooming itself changed. I didn't have to do anything, just give these 2 kits. It came at a cost, but that cost, turned out to be more productive and profitable. People stopped going because, there were better living conditions. 3 times we are serving meals. We give them weekly offs. They are being paid bonuses. They have their ESI and PF covered. So that way, even the staffs that were coming in understood that, I think though we may or may get paid a little lesser, but it's more stable, it's more secure.
So when that
security aspect was shared and the people culture was given more importance where, like I said, going back to one of the idols, Sir Richard Branson always says, take care of our employees and they will take care of your customers. So I think that is something that we did here because we always had customers saying, your people don't smile, they're frowning. So we went back to the roots to understand what is really the problem. People were really not happy the way they were living. Some may not happy with the salary. Some may not happy with the food. So I think it took us some time, but I think this is more valuable for future growth rather than, just focusing on growth.
Right.
So I think that since the business is built more on values, we had to give importance to the values first, then profits.
Yeah.
How often do you see a growth within the employee hierarchy, right? From going from your low-level staff, from a blue-collar worker who's a waiter, because one of the reasons we see in attrition is because there's no growth. An extra 3K will let the guy leave because there's no growth. I can't become a captain, right?
I think you guys will be surprised, when I told you the 6 general managers who were standing in front of me. I think each one of them came in as some kind of an executive or a clerk or an accountant executive or a receptionist or something like that, where they were just earning probably 14,000 or 16,000. And I think most of them are all my age, in that between 35 and 40. And today, I think out of the 6 today, we have 2 assistant vice presidents. One is heading operations, one is heading finance. And the finance guy was trained by my dad, came in as a clerk. If you see Empire Restaurant, you have somebody sitting next to the computer. We call them writers. What do you have in bank? They note whatever is coming in and going in.
Right.
So he came in as a writer at probably 150 rupees a day in 2003 or 4 or 5 or something. Today he is my assistant vice president for finance and earns about 1.5 lakhs.
That growth actually through the years.
So like you said, I think I wouldn't look at any a time period or a time level as they grow, because we look at 2 things. One is the will there? Is it a will problem or a skill problem? Skill can always be thought and bought, but will cannot. And then there's a saying, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink.
Yes, sir.
So we had a lot of people who were caged and probably put on the wrong job. So to give an example for Easy Bites, I think one of these floor captains, floor managers, who came in and worked with us for about 4.5 months. I think it was the year 2021, if I'm not wrong. And so this service general manager comes and tells me, sir, there is this guy called Alim, and he's worked for, so I was some Easy Bites problem I was discussing across the leadership. And he happens to tell me, sir, this Alim guy has worked with Popeyes for 12 years in Kuwait. I was like, what? And where is he now? Sir, he's in the so-and-so outlet as floor manager. I said, I want him here in the next 30 minutes. He came. I asked him a couple of questions. I asked him certain things about Popeyes. Guy was on point. I was like, what do you think about Easy Bites? He gave me 4 points. I was like, remove your coat, wear the t-shirt, get on the job. Because I needed somebody there before my cousin could come in. So that way we identified a lot of gold lying within. And I think today, with the center of excellence that we have near the airport, it's a 30,000 square foot facility which does a lot of processing from butchery to vegetables, like your vegetables, your mise en place. Okay. Then we have a hot kitchen. Then we have IP control where all our own marinades and sauces are made in-house. We don't procure from outside anymore. So, we opened, it was more like a bid kind of a thing where, where a lot of positions were opened at the factory. And it was very surprising to see a lot of kitchen supervisors, restaurant supervisors, assistant branch managers, and a few branch managers apply for a much lower position in that facility.
Why do you think so? Why?
So they were probably somewhere not happy in what they were doing. I think it's a very demanding job being a branch manager. It's like, you're the owner of that branch. I know working, the branch runs about 16 hours a day and he's spending close to about 12 hours in that 16 hours. So it's quite a job with a lot of pressure and not everybody can handle it. So even the smallest thing holds the highest value when it comes to the organization. So, like I said, it's not the fancy tech that I always discuss about. We don't go and boast about the tech that we use, though we're using state-of-the-art tech. Those are least of the concerns. I think it is the people, it's the culture, it is the value system that makes it the empire that it is today. I think we are far different from what a startup founder thinks to what a traditional business owner thinks. Yes.
Yeah, so something I want to know more about, specifically within your tenure at Empire, was the different introductions that you made, the changes, that new concepts that you've taken. So, for example, Easy Bites that was launched, as well as when Swiggy and Zomato had entered the market, right? Previously, there was no form of online food.
There was no form of probably a home delivery via a call.
So what was your mentality by that? Were you quick to adopt that, or did you hesitate at first? How was this?
I think when it comes to tech, we were very quick to adopt. So if you take Swiggy for that matter, I think we were one of the very early growth partners for them. And when they came forward, I think Arsha was there in our office. He was the current CEO of Swiggy. So he did come meet all of us and discuss the whole plan, and this is what it is. And we always believed in, being relevant, being present. We didn't want to distinguish ourselves to be, we will not be a part of this platform. We'll only be a part of this. No, we said we would be everywhere. And because Empire is for everything. So I think with Swiggy and Zomato and the likes, I think we did, support them in a way for their growth, because we could meet the demand, we could supply the demand. Right, yeah. That was the biggest advantage we had, because our kitchens, our back end was well equipped to meet those kind of demands. So I'm sure, I think the Swiggy's growth or Zomato's growth from 2016 to now, probably what, 2,000%.
But they were also bandwagon on your brand awareness, right? Because people know Hotel Empire. So like when they're on the platform, it gives trust.
Absolutely. I think we work together, and I think I always want to, I'm always grateful to Swiggy and Zomato in the time of COVID, because, they are the ones who kept our kitchens alive. And with our kitchens staying alive, we could ensure our people had three meals a day. Though we couldn't pay them salaries at the time, but Swiggy kept a lot of those emotions alive with the kitchen just running. The restaurants were shut, but the kitchens were running. I think we had about 11 or 12 restaurants running, catering to most of the city. And I think the riders, I think ever grateful to them. I think God bless them for the work they did in that difficult situation. Yes, I think so. Tech, and then like you said, Easy Bites. Easy Bites was something, just before I could take over, it was launched. But we launched that, identifying a huge gap in that fried chicken market, because KFC dominated the fried chicken market for the last 2.5 decades. Yeah. And we only had mom and pop players, one-off guys, not a chain, at least not in Bangalore.
Correct.
Or in South India that way. So we had an advantage of a greater vendor management and supply chain there because we were already consuming a lot of poultry. And with that, we only had to add an extra vertical to do a bit of trials by buying some fryers and things. Then we worked with a lot of great names in the F&B, not in the restaurant, I would say, but rather at the commercial level where they do a lot of spices and things like that, custom ingredients. So we worked with a lot of them. So it took us about 6.5, 7 months to arrive at that particular taste of what Easy Bite it is today. So because a KFC is a taste that's a global standard which suits every palate across the globe. But Easy Bite, we focused on the local palate because you need that kick. Whether it's spicy or whether it's tangy, that kick has to be there.
Yeah.
So we added that crisp, by having a great blend of the breading mixture and a great blend of spices to give it that thing. I think we went about doing multiple trials with, great names like the Griffith family who do the large, I think world's second largest spice house. So they were kind enough to do a lot of R&D for us and they invested, and then I think we're still working with them.
So previously you had mentioned about Center of Excellence and you've been actively involved in building about it. Could you just tell us more of why you did that and what's it really about?
Yeah, I think for me, I think I'll have to go back as a dream, as a child. I was always fascinated by these huge commercial, industrial kitchens. I wouldn't say kitchens, or other manufacturing units, from making your candies to ice creams, your pizza. So I think National Geographic Channel, Discovery, and a lot of YouTube, always kept me fascinated with the way things happen at the back end. And I was lucky enough to, visit the Emirates in-flight kitchen in Dubai once. And that was like a dream come true. You suddenly see trolleys are being, transported all over the place, and the level of, what do you say, control, that is where the excellence thing came in. Everything is top notch, from the quality of things that have been used, the way the people are moving around, the protocols that have been set. It is world class. And I was like, they're building such a huge system to cater to the hundreds of thousands of passengers that are there, and it goes all over the globe. And how are they doing this? It's all man-made. Why can't we do the same? So from there, I think with this gentleman who we very fondly call Double A, who came in like a consultant but was also a mentor to me, and one of our chief belief officers instilling that excellence ideology in our heads. So I think it was, we conspired in 2016 and we signed an NDA to start off. So from there, why the whole idea of doing Center of Excellence was, with the outlets growing and the number of customers growing, we were finding it's very challenging and difficult to ensure a lot of consistency that can be retained at the outlets. So we had a lot of control issues there. So rather than going and controlling the outlets, so we thought, why not go back to the back end where the root problem is? Why not simplify things for the outlet? So let's say if he has to make a biryani, he needs to do everything from the scratch. Here, it's more like a DIY thing. So for a biryani, everything is portion control. So with Center of Excellence, what it allows us to do is, integrate the technology with processes which minimizes errors, which minimizes risk, saves a lot of time. Cost, yes, the one-time investment cost is there, but it gets paid off rather faster. So going forward, when you're a large organization dealing with thousands of orders a day, standard costing is something that we can't achieve. And with the commodity inflation is there that is relevant in the market today, it is rather very difficult for us to achieve that kind of a standard. So the whole idea of having Center of Excellence is where we control that cost as well. So Center of Excellence works as an individual entity on its own. So procurement supports. So Center of Excellence buys, processes as per the requirement of Empire and the various other brands. So COE, Center of Excellence, stands individually, caters to its customers, which is Empire and Easy Bites and the like. So the initial idea was to have an absolute control over our quality over our line items, over our processes versus methods also. Then, the vision has always been not just restricting ourselves to be a restaurant company. An empire could be known as a food brand as well. We have signature dishes which can be taken across the globe in the form of packet, but not in the form of a plate. So it's rather easier to, have a packet. And at the same time, if we have been inspired by companies like Nestle, Heinz, or Nando's, where they've all, and in Saudi, there is this brand called Albake. They have one of the best brands in terms of a forward-backward linkage. Why did they do that? So today they are priced way lower than a KFC and a McDonald's in Saudi. So you will see an Albake outlet bustling with people versus a McDonald's or a KFC. It is more or less empty. So, we knew for us to reach that, level of outlets or number of outlets, have the level of operations in that scale to have absolute control, we need something great at the back. So, not just with Center of Excellence, we even control our water today. We have our own mineral water plant.
Wow.
So the consumption is huge. So we are talking about 6,000 to 7,000 liters of mineral water a day, which our customers consume. So we thought, why not have our own when we have a water source? We thought we'll invest in that and, have a brand of our own. So getting into the B2B segment, eventually into the B2C. So Center of Excellence is not just a central kitchen which is catering to our brands, but it is much more. So it is like, it's a philosophy, I would say. So I think it's taken time. But what we did actually imagine or think in 2016 versus how we started the commissioning of the whole project in 2022, a lot of things changed. Volumes itself went up to 350% more than what we estimated in 2017. So even the cost, what I initially planned at, let's say, about 7 to 8 crores, today went up to about 25 crores. As I said, 5 to 6 outlets could have been built with that kind of money. Yeah. But we understood there is a need to ensure there is a standard way of doing things. So that is what COV helps us with.
Right. One thing cool I'm noticing now is that at that scale, what you have decided is let's remove the dependency on people and partners.
I wouldn't say remove the dependency on people because people are a very integral part. And even with Center of Excellence being there, we have one of the best in the world cooking equipments like your cookworks, your jacketed steamers and things like that. End of the day, it is the same master. We don't call them chefs or we call them masters. So these masters are going to be there where, he'll have a dedicated trolley which says, trolley number 1 to kettle number 2. So he goes to the store like a supermarket, does the shopping as per his intent, picks up stuff. Everything is ready for him. Everything is ready to cook or ready to use.
You need to choose.
Earlier, he'll go to the store. Now, we'll go down and he'll say, okay, tell the processing guy to chop this, dice this and things like that. Yeah, everything is ready. All he has to just pick up his packet like a master chef kitchen that you see these guys go and pick up. It's like that. So he picks up in his trolley.
Right.
He'll be assigned a trolley. He goes, stands there in front of the thing. He dumps everything into that machine. He tastes it. But the machine is controlled with its temperature, with its cooking time, all that is taken. So there is a set thing, IP control, locked. So a lot of these ingredients, since the master, he might know. Nobody feels it. But there is no name on that thing. So we have absolute, IP protection across that factory there. And so, with all of that, people dependency reduces when it comes to volume because you ensure consistency with volume only with machine. You can't do that with people. But the tasting has to be done by a person. So yeah, so the human touch is always there.
So while we're talking about scale, how do you decide in terms of a geographic location?
I think since currently we're just present only in Bangalore city and across the suburbs of Bangalore and certain highways. I think in Bangalore it's rather easy for us to ascertain a location. We just know for a fact, and today it's far more easier than probably 10 years ago because we scout a location. Let's say for example, there's a Koramangala in 2007. I think more or less there was nothing. You just had your Jyotinivas College and a couple of other things. Then the startup culture started from there. A lot of PGs started coming in. So with that, small restaurants started popping up. Then we saw a great opportunity in Koramangala. And once we reached there, the whole street changed because, more and more people started coming in there. There was more attention given to that locality. Prices started changing. So, that way, wherever we've seen an area gaining more population, a lot of, migrants from across the country is coming into Bangalore for IT and other things, various other things for businesses. So, we understood each area has a certain kind of a demography. And in that demography, we are a people brand. We are a daily brand. We are not restricted to certain age group or a certain niche category. Anybody and everybody would want to eat an empire on a daily basis also. So, that way, we thought, with time the restaurant sizes start getting more smaller because the balance between an offline and online start getting more balanced. Earlier we used to have 90% of offline and 10% of online. Today it's almost 60-40, 60 being offline and 40 being online. So we don't need large restaurants with more dining spaces. We rather have a better back end with a larger kitchen to process for offline as well as online. With that came in more cloud kitchens. The cloud kitchens were chosen in a way that wherever we saw a gap, so let's say within a vicinity of 4 kilometers, the empire is not able to deliver. With Swiggy and Zomato coming in, giving us your long range delivery data, with that we understood, okay, then, and with the advent of cloud kitchens like KitchenSide and Swiggy Access, we are operating about 12 kitchens. So I think in Bangalore, we've never had a challenge in terms of identifying location, but going forward in terms of expansion outside the city, yes, I think we need to have a dedicated team doing a great job. Today with internet being there, I think data is available and, send somebody to their scout locations. Today you have great real estate companies who are doing a wonderful job, dedicated to F&B also. So I think it's far more easier to enter a certain market today if the brand is strong enough. Yeah.
One thing cool is you guys have introduced the places before the area has become a high street. How's that happened so consistently from Indiranagar to Church Street to Koramangala? When there was nothing, you guys said, hey, I'll go there. But now it's a full street of just food. How is that?
See, it's not just us. I think it's the people again doing that. And we are just a medium to that. So we ignite a fire, and people are adding fuel to the fire. That's it. So because when a certain locality, now let's say if you are living in Indiranagar and you're going out in the night, the only restaurant open in late night is Empire. And if you have an Empire closer to your home, it's far more convenient for you. Right, so I think Bangalore is overpopulated today. Yeah. So every area is meeting its, so every outlet is meeting its targets in each area.
Yeah. So if you had to map out Bangalore, what would be the outlets that are the best performing in terms of the area?
I think over time that also has changed.
Yeah,
the demography has changed. I wouldn't be surprised. I was surprised looking at the last year's report versus the previous years. We had outlets like Koramangala, Indiranagar, and Church Street, and one more outlet which was leading the pack. And today it's straight up, it's different. Today we have Rajajinagar who's leading the pack. And Rajajinagar was probably last year at about 8th or 9th position. So in 1 year, that restaurant, that store has had about 160% growth over a year. And the infrastructure supported it too. So Indiranagar and Koramangala still remains in that top 5. So today we have outlets like Devanahalli, we have outlets like Kanakpura, Kotanur, which is in the Bangalore north side, Hennur side, that is doing phenomenally well. And it's just 3,500 square feet. It's chock-a-block. So we're looking at a cloud kitchen nearby, so to handle the online this one. So yeah, I think over time dynamics have changed. Even every I think every area, every locality's dynamics have changed.
So without changing any fundamental businesses, these businesses are actually taking up the ranks on its own.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like I said, better systems, better practices. So optimization is happening. People are getting their food served faster, delivered faster. So when it is faster, you're able to do more. And that demand is there. Bangalore, the population is growing. It is not going to stop here. Over the next 10 years, it's going to continuously grow. It'll be a bubble that will burst. Sometimes, we think, how is the city going to handle it? Yeah.
And you're talking about scaling outside of the city now, right? Like
we are very keen on scaling within the state. Okay, I think this is our home ground. And we are loved and respected more here than anywhere else. So I think we'll have more of an acceptance across the state because, today tier 2 and tier 3 cities, there is a purchasing power but very less avenues to spend. So I think we can do more profitable businesses in tier 2 and tier 3 cities going forward.
So it's like a low volume game, but you're thinking of like high volume.
Yes, but again, it will not be a low volume game, but because again, tier 2 and tier 3 cities are also gaining popularity, gaining population. There's more infrastructure being built. So the volumes can stay. Because, for example, if we're taking Mysore, we have our third outlet in Mysore, which we opened in March.
How's that?
I was looking at by end of December, it should pick up. I think it's on par with the other outlet in Mysore.
And when you compare Mysore and Bangalore as a city, what are the differences?
I think Mysore has a better purchasing power right now. I think I'm also very fond of that city. You know, given a chance, I would like to move to that city. It's more pristine. It is more spacious. It's more quiet. It's more peaceful. A 10 kilometer is just 20 minutes rather versus a 55 minutes in Bangalore.
And of course.
Yeah.
So going back, right, one thing which really stands out for everyone who's been an Empire customer is like, since day one is the shawarma and then it's a chicken kebab.
Yeah.
So like what triggered these things and how did chicken shawarma came to be what it is or the kebab?
I think kebab, I think, was introduced in the somewhere in between 70s. We had, like I said, we had a lot of people come and go. So they came the way, blessed us, and they just carried on with their journey. So in this one gentleman, I think his name is Mr. Gupta. He used to work in some famous restaurants in Chennai and in Bombay and all that. So he came down looking for an opportunity. So he was just there for 2 years. But he introduced a lot of those dishes which are still present today. Kebab is one of them. The butter chicken is one of them. The most famous butter chicken and kebab is made by this late gentleman.
And it's the same recipe you've been using.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the authenticity is there. The originality is kept, even though we've integrated and incorporated a lot of technology.
Was the chicken shawarma expected to pick up? Like, did you guys?
I think no, man. I think it's a stagnated market now. I think when we launched shawarma, I think it was back in 2006, if I'm not wrong. I think it was in 2010 when we launched shawarma. Yes, it was a huge hit. I think we were selling shawarma at 49 rupees or something, and with a Lipton iced tea free. So over time, I think all the outlets have shawarmas today, and with Easy Bites being there, we introduced something known as a tawa shawarma in that. I think with that, I think the volumes the last 5 years have been rather stable. The shawarma thing is not going up. I don't see it going up either. Just that we can bring better consistency with Center of Excellence being there. We can have our own coning systems, more flavors we can try out. So yeah, it is a continuous process. It doesn't stop. And just to add on, I think we have 3 P's that we've identified and defined very nicely. And it goes by the order. It is people, process, product. But in reality, it was always product, process, and people. So we are reversing the whole thing. So we did a lot of reverse engineering and reverse mechanism in our own process and systems. So with that, I think we focus on what works best for us, not what the industry standard is. Yeah.
Throughout the podcast, you have spoken a lot more about people than product. I've completely give you kudos to that. On that note, you've stressed so much on people. Now comes the important element of training, right? At the start, also, it mentioned that these workers who come and can't even the toothbrush usage,
Yes.
right? So how do you train such a huge volume of people? How do you standardize things and how do you hire them? Like, these are 3 things.
I think hiring has had its own challenges from being a traditional hiring where you have somebody walking and say, "Bhai, kuch kaam milega?" They come. To a point where we used to send our executives from the HR and other teams to railway stations. There would be a time of the year, probably 2 or 3 times, where these guys come in looking for jobs. So we'll have tempo travelers parked outside. Grab them all, put them in the van, take them to the office, look at a KYC if it's happening. And then the one thing we always focused was no minors. Because with Aadhaar card coming in, most of them are fakes. So it would take us about 4 or 5 days to understand. And until then, some people would be on the job. We saw that happen twice, and in our audits, we could understand this happened. And it's a bad remark.
Correct.
And so we had to justify that with the Labour Commission and things like that. So I think we've learned a lot over time. And today we have a great corporate HR. We call him RP. And, he is in charge of the statutory compliance as well as the people culture factor. Because we hired him a year ago and he's from the industry. I think he's one of the first professionals to be a part of MKP Empire. And so with that, a lot of changes happening there. And training, I think more or less until the last 7-8 years, we did not have any training module as such. It is just that, okay, fine, you come, you watch what is happening, try and understand on the job. Even today, I think certain designations have a dedicated training from your commies and the kitchen part, and your live counters like your juice shop and easy, but they go through some extensive training before the job. But the service and all that, it's on the job training where we have our L&D instructors who go out to every outlet, faced out. Going forward, the Center of Excellence will also have
Oh,
Inshallah, God willingly, we'll have a training institute where it's more like an institute accredited, affiliated to something where they'll have a diploma certificate and 100% placement.
insane.
Paying stipends and things like that. So these are all the larger
Right.
visions that we have. Like I said, not just being a restaurant brand or company. We want to do a lot of things complementing that business. Yeah.
Interesting. When you look at competition, how does that landscape look like for you? And maybe how has that evolved over the years?
I think to start with, back in the days, we had similar brands, selling similar type of food, that is Empire and Imperial and Paramount and the likes. But not many of them could withstand, the pressure in time or the market dynamics and the leadership, because family-owned businesses, there were no succession and things like that. So we were rather small when we started, and there were other bigger names then. But over time, they did not expand or grow further because probably they did not have the means to do it. But we continue the thing. And, today I can say that, see, I'm not trying to boast, but somewhere competition is irrelevant today. The volumes that we do, probably I'm competing with a certain category, with a certain brand. A grilled chicken today, I might be directly competing with a certain brand. But as Empire as a whole, I don't think, in Bangalore city, somebody that we can compete with. But category-wise, probably yes. So, and again, the focus has never been competition, but rather on delivering that value. Yes. So with that itself, with all of those focuses, we never worried about competition, to be very honest. Yeah.
No, you just mentioned volumes. Now gets the interesting aspect, right? Everyone's question. The volumes. So there's a lot of aspect to the volume number we want to talk about. And let's start with the inventory. Considering so many outlets, so many people, what's the inventory look like?
It is huge. I think for the magnitude of sales that we do today, the back end daily pushes out close to an average about 20 to 25 tons of processed raw materials, semi-processed, semi-finished, all of that from the whole
25 tons.
25 tons, yeah.
Wow. And what is the
Majority being poultry there.
You said like 35%.
35%, yeah.
On pool.
So it's huge, yeah. So there was a supply chain that we have, we have our own reefer trucks, and, a lot of movement that happens across the city. Ambient goes different, chilled goes different, frozen goes different. So all that is the cost.
Yeah, it's huge.
And they're like, how can you handle this kind of an overhead? So we are looking at optimizing all of these costs in time. So where the pricing strategy gets better. So with all of these investments in the back end, we are looking at being a cost leader in the market in a way that our prices are way lower than the others available. And how are we able to achieve that? Considering an average food cost of, let's say, between 35 to 40%. I think today the industry averages for restaurants or brands like us is somewhere between the 45 to 50% mark. Even today, vegetarian restaurants do between 40 and 50. Certain times of the year, commodity inflations happen, like onions and tomatoes go up, and these vegetarian guys, they struggle literally. So for us, I think the last couple of years, poultry has been taking a huge hit when it comes to cost. I think the poultry inflation has been very unstable the last couple of years, and those costs have risen, I think, almost about 150%. So when I remember when 2009, when we started our central kitchen first, the average live bird pricing used to be at somewhere between a 65 to 75. Today that sits at an average of 150 to 125.
What?
So like I said, how am I supposed to be maintaining those prices? So a chicken kebab, which is sold the most, how is it that you're able to sell a kebab at 100 rupees, 3 pieces at 100 rupees? So it's the intervention in our back end where, even poultry, today we are buying processed birds, but going forward, we're looking at a backward integration there, because we know, today if it's 10 tons of poultry, going forward, we can reach, let's say, 25, 30 ton. And how are we processing all of that? So that time, we would rather have our own farm, where you can have contracted farming and things like that. So from farming, from sourcing at the origin, like onions coming in from your Maharashtra places, tomatoes coming in from Kolar. So over time, we've been able to always correct the procurement strategies in place, and empower people, let's say a farmer directly or a manufacturer directly. not dealing with middlemen or distributors in between. So as our volumes were getting higher and higher, we had a better bargaining power with our vendors. So, with us growing, they also grew.
Right.
So they ensured they gave us the best of prices, the best of service. So with that, and now of late, we've been changing our vendor policies also. So, poultry earlier, we had just one vendor who was taking care of the whole thing. And today, we couldn't rely on one vendor. Talking about, 7 years, until 7 years back, I think in 7 years, I think we've had the volume increase goes to about 60-70% more. But then now we have about 4 or 5 vendors. Some vendors are just giving us one particular SKU. So with whatever the needs and the demands have been, we've been customizing and planning according to what works best for us. So with COE, I think we've been able to plan better for the future. Earlier, we were only able to plan with whatever was available because space was less. We had a lot of constraints and so we had to manage all of that. So it could never be a positive flow always. It could be a mix of positive as well as negative. Today, we are able to get that control. Post-COVID, we are able to bring that control being more positive flow than negative. Wherever it has to be negative, it is directly flowing into the negative thing. Yeah.
Any estimate on the number of people you feed a day?
Yes, I think apart from only the offline would be close to, we get close to about between 18 to 20,000 walk-ins across all our restaurants. On an average, on a weekend, it can hit up to 30,000 people walking in and out of restaurants. And yeah, with I think online, we average somewhere between 13,000 to 16,000 orders a day. That is inclusive of your Swiggy, Zomato, your ONDC and in-house. In-house is just 3 or 4%. Majority is Swiggy and Zomato.
Which outlet has the most walk-ins according to you?
Church Street.
Church Street.
Church Street and highway outlets. Highway outlets, we don't do any home delivery. So 99% is walk-in. Church Street, I think we don't have home delivery there. We don't have the outlet on Swiggy or Zomato because we have Castle Street, we have other outlets within a vicinity of 1 mile. So we didn't want to have Church Street, again, challenge of parking even for these riders, picking up. It's a bustling thing. So we completely removed Church Street from the online thing. So we have 92% of offline and 8% of takeaway at Church.
Does the average order value change from highway outlets to outlets in the city?
Yes, absolutely. So a city outlet for a dine-in, I would say somewhere between 650 to 750 or an 800. But highway averages at 1300, 1400.
Wow, it's higher.
Yeah, because over here you have per bill, the number of people would be 2.7 to 3. But in a highway, number of people, number of packs per bill would be a minimum of 5. That's how.
And does the average order value change from offline to online as well?
Yes, very much. And online, I think we are the lowest in 380, 400. So it's a volume game for us there.
So it becomes more of accompaniment like rice, curry, they go for that.
You're probably just one person, you're just ordering a combo. 100 rupees combo which is costing you 150 at the end of delivery. And for me, I'm paying a commission too. So for us, the volume game is online. So a lot of people ask, how have you mastered the cloud kitchen thing? Today, I can proudly say our cloud kitchens are more profitable than our full-fledged restaurants.
What?
Yes.
Some people argue against it, right?
Even how? So it was a learning, we took our time. The first 2 years I burnt. So today, if an Empire full-fledged restaurant is having 150 items on the menu, the cloud kitchen will have only 30 items. That is what they require. That is what sells in that particular area. And you only have to focus on that.
I presume the fee that Zomato or Swiggy takes is not as big as it would be for new businesses.
No, that's what everybody thinks, because since our average order values are much lower than, let's say, a pizza bakery or a Barbecue Nation or any other restaurant where they range between 700 to 1,000. So for their commissions are well utilized for every delivery. So for us, each delivery can cost them more than what they're charging us. So we try and balance it out with the advertorial expenses, the advertisement expenses, then your CPCs and other promotion that we do with them to keep it in check, to ensure every month there is a growth on the online house. Yeah.
So touching on something that you mentioned not too long ago was the veg versus non-veg consumers in general, right? And is it correct to presume that most of Empire's diners are all non-vegetarian?
Maybe, because we've always been known as a non-vegetarian brand, and at the same time we do respect the vegetarians' wishes, but we tell them, because even if we never say anything as purely vegetarian. Yes, we have excellent dishes like a paneer or dal and things like that, but But we ensure to use different utensils for the same. And because, we are not, the brand is not shy from showing its kitchen to its customers. You can always walk into an empire.
Oh yeah, so if I go today,
Absolutely. Call for the manager, say, boss, I want to see your kitchen. Can I have a look? Yes, he's going to give you a hairnet. Come, sir. Well, whatever doubts you have.
I suppose.
So we do that, but not many people want to come and see that way because you give me my food. I want my food hot and best. I don't care about your kitchen. We know who you are and things like that. So what we did was in a highway outlets, if you see a lot of these brands who are in the city are also present in the highways. And in a highway travel, we've understood as a joint family, when you're traveling, you have elders also who probably don't want to be eating poultry or meat or non-vegetarian. So with that, we bought this concept called Vegetarian, a pure vegetarian restaurant housed within the property, not with the same kitchen or the same restaurant floor. So it has a separate kitchen, separate restaurant floor, separate processing area, but it's in the same premise of the property. And again, as a matter of convenience, elderly people or kids who want to just enjoy idli or a dosa, it did take off really well. I think we started our first vegetarian outlet in 2017. Oh, I'm not wrong, in our Bangalore highway. Also. But post-COVID, I think the highway outlets did take a very bad hit. So that time, since we didn't want to have a lot of overhead burden, so, we thought we'll halt the operations or stop the operations to vegetarian. And we, happened to have Mr. Kamath said, I would like to take over the place as is. That way we came to an agreement and he's taken over 2 of the properties. So we still have 1 vegetarian outlet in our Hassan highway outlet, yes. And it's still doing wonderfully fine. Yeah.
And you can call that a pure veg restaurant.
Pure vegetarian, yes.
And you plan on bringing that
south as well as north. Yeah.
And do you plan on bringing that to the city anytime?
Not in the city. Like I said, there is no less pure vegetarian outlet. There are legends in the city. We don't want to be going and rubbing shoulders against them. Because I myself love going to these restaurants, and probably they're all pure vegetarians. But a lot of these people who are restaurant owners in Bangalore, because I'm also part of the Hotel Association of Bangalore. So I work with a lot of senior gentlemen who are all part of legendary brands. So it's a vice versa thing for us, an understanding, And I'm not going to come and trouble him unnecessarily, and nobody comes into our territory and troubles us. So it's more like a code.
So it's an unwritten rule, basically.
Absolutely.
To not,
because it's a fraternity, it's a community, and we are supposed to be supporting each other, not with fighting each other. You have healthy competition, nobody says no, but when you see each other on the road, you're shaking hands and hugging each other. It's just like you could be a brother from another mother. Doesn't mind. What I do at my work is my problem. What do you do is personal. But we always maintain a relationship.
On that note, right, what is primarily different for a brand like a family business like yours versus someone who's just opening up a restaurant or have 2-3 restaurants? It's like going back to the conversation of startup versus an MNC, right? From your eyes, what are the differences?
I think, you see, when you're a first-time entrepreneur, if you want to start a restaurant, it's either by passion. You're driven by something, and you need to know what that is exactly. Because, I'm going to open a restaurant. I'm very passionate about food. So my next question is going to be, you're passionate about cooking or eating? I'm passionate about both. Then probably you can get into this one, because you need to know what you're feeding your customers. And at the same time, you should be able to taste and tell what is wrong or what is bad or what is good about that. So I think getting into the restaurant industry is not an easy job. It's a 24/7 full-time job. And you can't have side hustles when you're in a restaurant business now. You can't. And it all looks nice from the outside. People are saying, look at this restaurant, man, all the time busy. But Rameshwaram Cafe, that's what people talk about them. I know Raghavendra. Like, we know the struggles inside. And they'll be like, oh, we start a restaurant. Very easy to start a restaurant, but not very easy to run a restaurant. Like I said, people management. So when you're in the people business, they are the ones who are driving your business. And for a startup founder, it's going to be extremely difficult because the people's skills are very poor. Because, I wouldn't blame them because, why you were probably coming in from an IT background or some other background where the people engagement is very low. In hospitality and service, you're all the time dealing with people. Again, it's not customers. It is your employees, it is your departments, it is your vertical, it is your vendors, it is... So, it is quite challenging. But at the same time, for a family-owned business, let's say a first generation or a second generation or a third generation, it comes with its set rules, principles, ethics, value systems. There is a succession plan. There will be a grooming plan. But for us, probably I did not go through all of that because the father was rather busy in building the business, did not have that time. And by the time he could really, give that time to his people and to his children, he fell ill, and that illness took him away. So today's generation, I think traditional family businesses have to have clear-cut plans on how the success is going to happen. The family council decides on what you're going to do. So, and I think they say, Zameen Asman ka farak hai. So, startup versus traditional restaurant business, it is a Zameen Asman ka farak. You can't have similar ideologies there. Either you'll have to come down to this level, or you will have to come down to this level to get funding and other things like that. Because traditional business don't go for funding, because somewhere you are cash rich. Because, you had one restaurant for the first 30 years, you made enough. And then with time, with the cost and everything going up, you don't become cash rich. Then you start having your private equity or a VC, or going public, or working with the HNI. You have to raise funds somewhere for you to grow and stay relevant. Yes.
So as the Empire Group of Hotels, are you guys planning on getting into the PE, VC side of things coming in?
I think it's too early to say, because, we are really not in need of funds, because we are not looking at a very aggressive growth plan for Empire, at least. Easy bites, yes. I think we are looking at various business models that we can grow. So we can tap into any of these models. It could even be a franchise model,
Right.
or it could be a private equity or a VC model. In a way that Easy Bites will have its own individual identity. And it's not going to be, it's going to be under the same umbrella, but again, not fully connected to the family business. So we'll have it. So we'll have these things where, we can do our trial and errors. So like you said, it's a family business. Not everybody thinks alike. Somebody wants to do some crazier stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a brother of mine who's more on the creative thing, and he's really good with bringing out new products and things like that. So he's the right fit for that brand there. So he has a certain vision that he thinks that he can take forward to the Easy Bites, and we'll fully support what is there. So the elders are supporting, they supported me, and it's my duty to support them as well. Yeah.
And how does family businesses really work in financial side of things? Because when you think about like equity or ESOPs, do you guys have an ESOP plan? Or what is it like, right? Because
ESOP plan is something that I'm very keen on, because like I said, when you have employees who are older than you in the system, they are everything. For them, they're everything. They have nothing else beyond this. So, we want to reward them in the right way when the time is right. So we will have, I think the board should agree collectively, and that we can do an ESOP plan. In terms of fundraising, no, we are not very keen on right now. And I think internally, since when it's a family business, the finances are locked and kept very tight. And not everybody is at their liberty to spend and blow up and do whatever you want. Everything has a due process.
Right.
There are limits to how much you can access. Even as CEO, there is a certain limit how much I can sign off. Post that, it has to have the board's consent. So I think it's more systematic. It's more systematic. It's more organized when it comes to a family business.
So what was the vision behind Karamas? If I'm not wrong, it was an acquisition, was it?
No, it was not an acquisition. It was a brand that we created. I think we were inspired. I think since we have a very close acquaintance with the Middle East, especially Dubai, and a lot of family there, and we have an outlet too there.
Okay.
I think my father and uncle were always fascinated by that huge Karachi naan that you see. It's the Pakistani roti you find in these Pakistan restaurants. And it goes well with those rich, flavorful gravies or kormas that they call it. So we just wanted to give it a try and, do something different. So Karama was the first brand other than Empire that we actually found. So Empire Juice, just a juice shop. It was not a brand. Today it's a brand.
Right.
So Karama was the first official brand that we had post-Empire.
And when was that?
Sorry?
When was that?
It was 2016. 2016 we launched the brand, and it was primarily on your niharis and payas and your dabba gosh, your sheikh kebabs and your naan, and then we had a bit of Arabic in the mandi and some salads and things like that. So today, I think again it's a name that is synonymous with people, but somewhere I feel it's not positioned correctly, and there is a lot of scope for Karama to grow. Not at the moment. We are looking at something because, like I said, a lot of back-end churning is going on. So my time and attention is fully on that, and I want to be focused there. Once I'm out of that, then we'll come back to the front end. and then we will plan something for Karama and the others. Yeah.
I mean, like, interesting thing you said earlier was you spent a lot of time perfecting that Karachi naan, right?
Yeah.
How many?
Because we had 3 people come over. The first person who came had the best. In the first trial, I think he did a marvelous job. All of us were like, wow. Next day, guy is missing. It was not there. He disappeared. You don't know. We couldn't catch him because he came in from UP. So he worked in Dubai in some restaurant for 3 years, and he had the perfect mix of the recipe. And he said, sir, unless you don't get me this atta from particular brand, from the particular state, I will not need or mix. Okay, if he's coming with such kind of a specific thing, he's the man. And next day, they come in. Then got us that guy. We had to go back to Mumbai and Delhi, catch hold of another person. The 2 other guys came, and one older gentleman came. He had a different touch. Though his bread were good, but it was not what we wanted. Eventually, from Bombay, one guy came. He's from Bihar, but he was based in Bombay, and he's still there. His name is Kalamba, and a very peculiar character, short tempered. Today he's very peaceful. Earlier he used to come and trash our boys in the lanes, and abuse them and all that, but now it's changed. So yeah, I think it took us about 3.5, 4 months to perfect that naan alone. Then the gravies and the sheikh kebab. So we went about, I wouldn't say literally poaching, but we were looking at people who wanted bigger opportunities. So we have a chef called Vijay who's worked in a lot of North Indian restaurants. So he does very good Punjabi fusion and good exposure and very good skill, magic in his hands. Give him anything, he'll prepare. So he's one of a key member of our QC team today. Yeah.
Do you have something like a corporate chef, like a...
No. Raju Anna, Peter Anna, all masters, they are our chefs. We will need probably in time when we have more, brands coming in or more avenues to do business. Like say, we're looking at institutional catering and we're looking at getting into airports and things like that. So not just with the brand name Empire. We want to create more. So then at that time, we will have somebody in place, yes. We believe in taking things very slow and steady because, it goes back to your childhood days, the race between the hare and the tortoise.
Yeah.
So my dad always says, slow and steady wins the race. And till date, I take his philosophy and he says, when you open your cash counter drawer, we need money in that, not blank papers. Today, things have changed. You hardly see any money, more papers. The money is there in the bank. So, yeah, I think I'm a lot old school when it comes to my philosophies and way of doing things. But at the same time, I'm a motorsport enthusiast. I'm an adrenaline junkie. So, yeah, I've gone diving and riding to Leh Ladakh and things like that. So, whenever you get time, I do all of this. So, I'm a person who looks forward to happiness.
If you knew things that you knew today, 5 years back, would you have done things differently?
I wouldn't be sitting here, sir. Absolutely, I wouldn't be sitting here because certain things are meant to be in certain ways. If you are destined for success, you will get it come what may. Like I said, that faith is there. So that is there. Even the slightest percentage of faith is enough. You can grow all those. So I think we were very reckless back in the days. Today, I'm not saying I'm praying 5 times, but still, I put in an effort to do that. That gives me some sense of gratitude and satisfaction. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think and a lot of people can look at you and your story and learn a lot from it.
I hope they do because, end of the day, I've been inspired by many and I want to inspire many with the things that we do. So we are not doing great things, but something you can remember because, what are you going to be leaving behind?
Correct.
Might leave enough for your children, but what did you leave as society? What is the change that you brought in? What are people want to remember you as? That's what makes the difference.
So thanks a lot for taking the time and having a chat with us today. But before you leave, there's something we always do with the guests. It's a quick rapid fire, right? So as part of the questions, first thing we would like to ask is, what would your go-to Empire order be?
Oh, that's 3 things. Coin paratha, butter chicken and chili chicken.
Always.
Yes. And if you had to add a vertical at the Empire Group, right? If there's something that's missing, where's your head at there?
See, in terms of concept, I think I'm very keen on doing vending machines. Yeah.
Vending machines and what kind of products or
whatever we can, probably it could be a biryani or it could be a butter chicken and ghee rice or whatever.
Wow.
So you go to Japan, you go to places like Korea and all that, Vietnam and all that. Bro, you can't imagine the things they have in vending machines. So why can't we do that?
Yeah. They prepare the food.
Just that we have to protect it at night.
Yeah, that's
So next would be, if you aren't running the Empire group of restaurants, what would you be doing?
Probably a stuntman.
That's fun.
And my question is, can you list me your favorite places in Bangalore that you'd like to go, whether it's to eat?
Yes, of course. I think for dosa, it is going to be Vidyarthi Bhavan or CTR. For ice creams, Corner House, any given day. Today, for burgers, I still like truffles. When it comes to Indian food, I think tandoor has always been my favorite. But today, there are a couple of others. Pizza, it's going to be a brick oven or pizza bakery that way. So for every cuisine, it's there. But my go-to-go place any given time in terms of my convenience is a place called Daily Sushi in Church Street. I can just go park there, and they're open till 1, and they're open throughout the day, and it's very simple. I like to eat things that are more simple.
So simple, sophisticated food gets the job done. Cool. So if you'd like to introduce any dish or cuisine to the Empire Hotel menu, like your personal favorite.
I think Empire, we wouldn't want to touch. We would just add more dishes which can suit the customers who are coming into Empire, because you can't have ghee rice and butter chicken and then have a pizza. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to eat it. So it has to relate. So that, I think NPDs at Empire are very controlled, I would say. Yes.
All right. And what's something that not a lot of people know about you, but you'd like to share?
I think a lot of people don't, because I'm not a person who's very active on social media, but yes, since our business demands it, I do. But I do a lot of, adventure stuff, wherein like zip lining, skydiving, scuba diving, riding at the most, difficult places in the world and the highest points in the world.
Wow.
I do things like that, which is more riskier, because that's what I enjoy. And I don't like the average stuff.
And what was your favorite thing out of that so far? Like from the diving to the Leh Ladakh trip, like what was your...
I think the last 2 things that I did, one was a scuba dive, and the last that I did was the Leh Ladakh ride.
Oh.
I felt every emotion in that. Every emotion I felt in that. Yeah, and that will be one of the best experiences of my life.
Wow, very nice. We should go also.
I love playing snooker. That is something nobody knows.
Snooker.
Yeah, I play at home. Morning, we're out.
And the last question is, like, all of us are very curious. What does an average day in your life look like?
I think it's with time it's gotten better, but I've never complained any time in my days. Like, it's very troublesome or it's cumbersome. But right now, since I have 2 kids, a daughter who goes to school, and I love. All these years we've been late night owls. So since our restaurants open very into the late, and my earlier career used to be going home at 3 or 4 in the morning and then waking up by 10 and then starting my day at 12. Today, though, I start my official work day at 12 or 11, but I wake up by 7. And I like taking my daughter to school, and that morning is something that I never experienced the last 30 years of my life. So that morning newspaper, the bright sun, it gives me a different kind of an energy. So then, I think from 12, I sometimes go on rounds to the outlets, or I'm at Center of Excellence. From Monday to Wednesday, I'm there spending most of my time, because it's 25 kilometers away from the city. So you go there 4-5 hours, you're done. 4 to 7, I usually spend my time in the office, because that's when I allocate all my time for meetings and other things. And every quarter, there is a set routine that I follow. So this year onwards, the first and foremost thing I did was meeting every vertical. So it took me about 2.5 weeks to meet everybody across. So spending an hour and a half. In a day, about 3 hours I spend. But they also have work to do. I have to respect their time more than mine. So we do that, and I ensure I stay in touch with everyone. Though I don't meet them regularly, but they know what I'm doing. I know what they're doing. And by 6:30 I'm home. That's my quality time with my kids and my wife and my family, or going out at something. 10:30 again, I'm back on duty. And that's when I do a lot of my, I wouldn't say personal stuff, but the things that I have to look at in terms of my data crunching, analytics, or meeting somebody within the organization, having a talk with the leadership. I keep it all post 10:30, because the phones don't ring. Because it's officially non-working hours for the public. But for us, we're working until 4 a.m. I'm available 24/7. I'm available on WhatsApp. Anytime, within the next 3 minutes, you'll have my reply. That is something that I've promised my people, and they know. Any problem, you call boss, He'll give you a response immediately, and that way things have to move on. Like, you can't say, no, I'm sleeping, call me tomorrow.
That is such an example, considering you're in the office or working for 12, 16 hours. Like, it needs such an example for the people.
And yeah, with time, if you're, I wouldn't say smart enough. I think with time, you get to buy your own data. So today we have that. I think God has blessed us. Today I want to go take off. I don't need to tell anyone. Just say, okay, I'm going. Well, yeah, tell my wife though.
And my last question is on the trends in the industry. We were talking about small seater restaurants that are coming in. What is a trend within our industry that that really surprised you, that shocked you, and what's something that you really loved, a new thing that you love?
I think I'm not a very trendy person, to be very honest. Like I said, I'm a bit of old school. I like things more logical, more sensical, more comfortable, more convenient. So there are many trends. Like you said, the vending machine is something that I feel very comfortable. It's like on the go. And, there are a lot of these instances that I very often have to miss my lunch because it keeps me busy at that time. And I'm an on-the-go person. When I used to be in Dubai, all the Emirates and your petrol stations and your shawarmas, you just have to stop. 3 minutes you'll have it in your and you can just stay. That is something is still missing here. So even if you have drive-ins, where is the place in the city to do a drive-in?
There's no place to drive.
Certain things have restrictions. So, whatever is possible. And the trends, like, small restaurant, like you said, people don't want to enter a small dingy place. Doesn't work. You rather do a cloud kitchen. Rather have a kiosk where there is no seating. People are standing. That makes, because you want to create a vibe with whatever you're doing. Today, there were trends where everybody tried everything. What can work in the US cannot work here. What works here cannot work there. So, what works best, what the people can accept is what we have to. And for that, we have been very slow when it comes to trend. Back end, we are the first.
Very nice. And last question from our end is, what's something you can't live without?
I think what keeps me going every day is my children, especially my 2-year-old son. Off late, when he wakes up in the morning, the level of energy that he gives, it is mind-blowing. It is pure, it is full. And, I'm a morning person. My wife is not. And she'll be like, why is this fellow waking up? When he wakes up, he gives me that energy. So I enjoy my morning. So that is something that I can't do without. Probably a week is something I can stay away from that. Then I start, I get bored. I'm used to that kind of a lifestyle, and they have to do though. You can get a day or two, you can just relax with no noise in the house, but you start feeling empty. So I think my kids are something that I can't live without. And, my wife, in a way that it's something that you can't live with and can't live without. But she is the biggest judge I have. She is my mental support, my shoulder, because all through thick and thin, she was the only one who stood there and said nothing. She never put me down, but she always gave me that support. Even when the family was not supporting, she was always there. So I think that is more of a spiritual energy that she gives. So yeah, I think these three things. And then again, if I don't see or taste butter chicken more than 4 days, then I'm like, something is wrong. Sugar is going down or something. So I think that tasting has to taste. That smell, the whiff of that thing has to come. Yeah.
Sorry for the add-on question, but I just wanted to know about, is there a certain period where you had kind of struggled the most, like after, being on
I think as in my position, yes, I think there was a struggle in getting things under my control, people accepting me who I am, the way I am. And at the same time, COVID was a struggle for the business also. I think collectively we did, all of us did go through a struggle, and, we were united as a front. So, that is something, all of us stayed together. Whatever were the outcomes, sir, we will be together. So, yeah, I think without struggle, there is no fire. I think you need to struggle to enjoy life, to know what life is all about. So, if everything is too easy, then you don't enjoy the outcome. Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Shakir. It was a real pleasure.
I think even it was, I think this was the first podcast for very intriguing for me, and, very engaging, and I could totally stay myself. I'm glad you could. Nothing was pre-planned, and I think thank you guys. I think Recipeat is, I should say that you guys are doing a wonderful job in voicing out for people like us who not many people don't know, like, the things they do behind the door. So it's a great platform for people like us to come and share the knowledge. I think
It was a huge treat for us having you on, really. Learned extensively. Seriously think a case study for the future. Definitely.
100%.
yes. Thank you guys.
But thank you
Wonderful.
again. Thanks
It's an
for coming.
absolute pleasure. Lovely location. I think looking forward to seeing more podcasts from you
Yes.
guys and more interesting people coming on board and showcasing stuff. Thank you so much and wish you all the best.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing more of you as well.
Thank you.